Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Trader Merlin Show. It is your Tuesday edition, Taco Trivia Tuesday. Have a fun round of trivia tonight, that's for sure. But, man, I'm bummed. I had so many things going on today. Thanks, Ricardo. You were a gracious attender of the class this morning. Yeah, we had fun in the crypto class. It's just a long one. We went from 7:30 to 1:30, well, a little after 1 o'clock, and my voice is going to probably go out on you guys, so apologize if I sound a little lethargic and a little hazy voice, but we'll make it work. The other side of it is, man, I was watching that S&P during this session today, right up to that all-time high, and then started to sell off from there. Yeah. Oh well, the sacrifices we make in the name of education. So I'm glad you enjoyed the class this morning. And I see we got Tim from Minneapolis up here. We got Vikings fans in the room. Man, after my Niners defeat, I'm gonna have to boot the Vikings fans out of the room. I'm kidding. You guys played a great game, man. Your defense is incredible. I was really shocked at how good Minnesota's defense is. But we'll be back. Okay, let's dive right into it since this is a question that was asked. I forgot the gentleman's name. Cedeno asked, what are my favorite trading books? So I thought I could dive into that pretty quickly, and then we'll move on to things like Ripple. We'll talk about the Fed announcement, and then the Neuralink thing. I don't know if you guys are aware what Neuralink was approved for today. Mind-boggling. I mean, it's stuff that's straight out of Star Trek kind of technology. Blows my mind. So we'll talk about that stuff and whatever else you would like to look at today. So here is my favorite. Speaking of books, I just got my book on women on Wall Street. Ooh, she-wolves, huh? Didn't know that one. I never heard the she-wolves. Sounds good. Let me know what you think. So I'm going to run through just kind of in no particular order. Actually, I will finish with a particular order with my favorite book. You all know what my favorite book is, but I'm kind of going to run through the stuff that I think was shaped me and was important to me in understanding kind of my area of expertise. Now, I think I'm a little bit different. I don't think I'm like every other trader out there. I think I do things a little bit differently. I find trading books, to be honestly, extremely boring. They do not usually excite me. I don't find that they're riveting and kind of page turners. Kind of like, yeah, okay, I know this stuff. And now most trading books are just regurgitated information, kind of massaged into a different tone of voice or AI reader. But here's the ones that, if I go back into my early trading days, and this is back into the floor in Irvine, California, back in 1998. Granted, I got started a couple years earlier in 1996, but that was because I was learning all this stuff in college and I was reading textbooks on how markets are supposed to work. And that's not the way markets function. So when I got down to the trading floor in Irvine in June of 1998, people were giving me trading books all over the place. And one of the first ones I read was Come Into My Trading Room by Dr. Alexander Elder. And this is just a great kind of setup and kind of walks you through methodologies, mindset, money management, things like that. And I found this one to be pretty beneficial. I liked it. Definitely one of the better trading books out there as far as from ground to what you should be doing, right? That one is a great one. The second one, which I have a physical copy of right here, which I love this book. This is, unfortunately, the cover's taken off. I hate covers. It is Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. This is a good book. The reason I like this one so much is it's so much about psychology, mindset. To me, that's why I like having Dr. Woody Johnson on the program, is because it's so important for us to kind of understand our minds, how we're going to react to certain situations, and not only understanding how we're going to react to situations, but how that situation is setting up to make us react, right? This is all one orchestrated game, in my opinion, and all these domino pieces, one thing leads to another. How do I deal with it? How do I set myself up to move away from the norm, meaning I'm going to get manipulated by it, to how I'm going to interact with it and use it to my advantage? So I love Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. Certainly should be on everyone's reading list. Now, this next one I like a lot from the perspective of, I don't know if I would buy it. It's extremely expensive. You can find this book by typing in the name of the book and then .pdf online. It's where I really got a love for chart patterns. And its guy's name is Bulkowski, Thomas Bulkowski. It's called the Encyclopedia of Chart Patterns. Now, this book, what makes it so good is it'll run through all of the different chart patterns. And there's thousands of them. I mean, I can look at any price formation and make up some name. It's funny. I remember we had a presenter once in Irvine. He was doing a workshop, and the crowd was just thought they knew it all. I was sitting in the room, and the class thought they knew everything. And so he goes, "Oh, you guys see this smokestack chimney pattern right here? There's no smokestack chimney pattern. He's just kind of making stuff up." And I think that's the problem I have with chart patterns, is the ability to just make anything look like a pattern. What separates this book from everything else is it's all backed up by data. So he'll go through here and say, here's how a descending triangle should look. Here's the criteria for a descending triangle. Here's what it represents. Here's its success and failure rate. Here's how far it should move if it breaks out to the upside or downside. Those are valuable pieces of statistics. And like we talked about the other day, which, what are the big 8 days, or the super 8 days? That's just statistical data that should put your odds in favor of being bullish on those 8 trading sessions. More often than not, they work. Same thing with an ascending triangle, descending triangle, shooting stars, all these different cup and handle formations, head and shoulders. There's a reason for their existence, right? It's behavioral analysis and psychology. So I like this one. It's hard to read because it's very complex, data driven. But if you're like me and enjoy the statistical numbers, the probability game of it, Encyclopedia of Chart Patterns is absolutely fantastic, especially if you're a chart pattern lover. Now, along that same vein would be this one right here, Japanese Candlestick Charting Techniques. This was one of my favorite books because it just really spelled out how these things are created, the history, and how they've evolved. You do not need to buy this book. Let me repeat that. You do not need to buy this book. Just go to Trading Academy's YouTube page. I did a 1-hour webinar that walks through all the major patterns, talks about the psychology of them all, and every other book out there is going to charge you a ton of money for them. And I just don't think that it's that useful to buy a Japanese candlestick book. There's enough information out there. I could be your book for it right now. It's granted it's a lot cheaper than the Encyclopedia of Chart Patterns, which is right around $100 because it's a thick book. The candlestick one is much thinner, and if you like to have a bookshelf full of books, then great, grab a copy of it. But I think you can find all that information elsewhere for free. But it did really help me understand the psychology of candlesticks. And you guys have seen it through this show. You know that I believe the candlesticks tell you everything. I believe that each candle, whether it's a 5-minute, 1-minute, hourly, daily, monthly, weekly, it's a battle. It's a battle between buyers and sellers. And to me, psychology stems from that. So when I look at these, I don't think he has any, does he have a sample in here? Oh, I just have to read it. He talks a lot about the history of Japanese candlesticks, which is fine, but then it really gets into the background of them, which I appreciate the history behind how Japanese candlesticks came to be. And the guy's name is Manihisa Hama, the guy who discovered, or didn't discover, but the guy, Manihisa Hama, who was a rice trader at the Dojima Rice Exchange in Japan. He used them, and he had just had unbelievable success as a rice trader. Now, I know it wasn't just because of the candlesticks. It had to do with his information. It had to deal with his contacts, his sources, his network, right? He had his tentacles out there knowing where prices were going to go. But the Japanese candlesticks certainly did represent the emotion between the buyers and sellers on any given day, month, week, or year. So I like that book from that perspective. But again, I don't think you need to buy it. Just if you want to know the basic candles, which are going to be things like engulfing patterns, harami formations, whether they're bullish or bearish. You have hammers, shooting stars. I mean, they've got homing pigeons and abandoned babies and all these crazy names out there. I can take any one candle and give it a name, any 2 candles and give it a name, any 3 candles, give it a name, and that's what the book does. It's overkill, right? So you find the ones that you like that work for you, and you guys know mine. Hammers, shooting stars, probably my favorite patterns out there, particularly if they're at the right part of a trend and they have good volume. So the Encyclopedia of Chart Patterns and the Candlestick one are great books, in my opinion, simply because they help you understand the charting side of it. And I certainly am much more of a technical analysis person than a fundamentals. I think there's too many ways for me to fake fundamentals. I can go out there and I can fudge the numbers and fool everybody for a few weeks or months on a balance sheet until it all comes home to roost, and I'm going to get stuck not doing so well. Anyway, you suggest practicing spotting candlestick patterns. Great question, Believable. What I would suggest is, again, watch that video, and maybe I will remake that video for this channel here. It's actually the most watched video on Trading Academy's YouTube page, which I thought was kind of cool. I'll bring it up for you guys here so you guys can have that link. It's old. It definitely could be refreshed. You know, we had a period of time where we used to do a 1 hour a week live webinar. And 1 hour a week. I mean, it was fairly regular. We're just cranking these things out. Let me see if I can find the candlestick one for you. It should be. It's only 36 minutes. Wow, 3.3 million views. I wish I had 3.3 million views on this show.
Or range candle. Kind of shows a little bit of consolidation. Hello, everyone, and welcome to.
Oh boy, I look really young in this one. When was this done? 6 years ago. Oh man, I'm embarrassed. All right, well, here's the link to it. And again, maybe I'll redo it on this program, but that's this one. How to read candlestick charts. So it's a long time ago. And by the way, somebody did this no cap. That's awesome. No cap came out here and actually broke them up. So if you want to see kind of the main patterns, which you can see here, I've got Gravestone Doji, Evening Star, Doji Star, Engulfing. There's bullish and bearish patterns. I kind of split them up into different groups, but it's pretty basic. You know, it's not like this is you're going to walk away going, I'm a master of candlesticks. But to Believable Directions point, you know, what would we do to practice this? I think you look at a couple different patterns. Let's say it's a hammer formation, right? And then you go out here to something like Trading View, and you just flip through charts. You know, I could go through all kinds of different stuff, but so here, right away, we start things off with an engulfing pattern. I just know these two side by side. Now, it's not a great one because the whole candle doesn't fit inside the previous day. We could do avalanche. These are all going to look the same because crypto pretty much did the same thing today. Let's go look at our S&P market sectors. And I'm just looking for candles that jump off the chart at me, ideally on the hard red edge. So this is a great one. You can see this right here. It's a shooting star formation. So you have a rally up, an aggressive rally for 5 days, right into overhead supply, long topping tail. And if you break down below this, let's put a line on there. Keep an eye on it for tomorrow. Unfortunately, I'm teaching all day then tomorrow. If we get a crack down below 218.47, you know, there's a short opportunity. And it's just one of those things I've now filtered, and I have a little bit of a higher probability of something working on IWM tomorrow. XLI. All right, zoom out a little bit. No, nothing there. Same thing here. You got a nice shooting star on XLY, consumer discretionary. It's a great shooting star, actually. What I'd like to do is I would add on volume real quick just to see if it's elevated. No. So no, there was no panic on this shooting star today, but nonetheless, nice big shooting star. And most markets are going to have this, by the way they reverse. Notice the hammer right here. I believe we talked about this one. It would sold off, long bottoming tail, right to the origin of this, where it gapped up to after an aggressive sell-off. So you just have to find a couple patterns that you know and just look for them on price charts. XLB, another great shooting star. So you got a lot of big shooting stars out there in our market for tomorrow. Utilities just keeps on going. This is just jaw-dropping what the utilities are doing right now. That's how I would do it. It's just seat time and eyeballs. Believable direction, seat time, and just looking. You know, you can also run filters out there. Let me show you one site. Oh, where was this one? You go to FinViz, for example. It doesn't do candlesticks, but if you scroll down here, oh, they've changed this. Oh, they've changed it a lot. So there used to be kind of patterns in here. So you can see here you got like double tops. So it's not candlesticks per se, but you can see here you've got wedge up, ascending triangle, descending triangles. And these might be good places for you to click on and look at them and go, is this really a descending triangle? This one is. This OCG is a great descending triangle. However, it's $1 stock. So where's it going to go? Negative $5? No. This is not a descending triangle on CFCV. That's not. This is not a descending triangle on, it's already broke down on TKR. So a lot of these are garbage. This one's good. AGBA has a nice descending triangle. See how it's making lower highs and the base is kind of remaining the same, but it's a $2 stock. So who cares? I mean, you're going to short a $2 stock? You're a brave trader, not me. So these are just some resources you can use. some platforms will actually give you different candlestick formations. So if you go to like StockFetcher has you can do a couple for free. For example, if you look over here, you can see I've got moving average crossovers, but I can go down here to Japanese candlesticks, and let's say I want to find shooting stars today. So we'll go, there's evening star. No, I'm sorry. We want, shooting star. Here's a shooting star. And now I can actually take this and look at these charts here. So GM, Citigroup, these all have shooting star formations, Under Armour, with very high volume. So that is a potential as well. You could also, when you go to full results, you guys see here, it's going to show you, I only get to see 5 or 6 different ones. So what I'll do here is say, and close above. I want this to be a close above, let's say $35. That way, it has more downside potential. You can also add in volume here, increasing less it did. Yep. So I'll go fetch stocks. Now it's going to modify this list and look for stocks that are over 35 bucks. So you've got General Motors, decent, okay. Citigroup, I wouldn't call Citigroup a shooting star right now. Let's look at it over here. That's not a shooting star. No question, that is absolutely not a shooting star. So even running through filters like StockFetcher, it's going to bring up some garbage that's just not right. On Citizens Financial, CFG, that looks like a nice shooting star, CFG. Yep. So what you have, and these are perfect. Look at these two back to back. You have this nice sell-off with the hammer formation, and then it followed through and moved to the upside. Since we're on a shorter-term downtrend here, at least since the end of August, downtrend, rally back up into supply, which is a drop-based drop. It hit it. Now expect that thing to drop to the downside. So this would be a nice short opportunity here for CFG as well, at if it breaks those lows of right around $40.34. So that's how I would do it, believable direction. I'd go through here and just look at some of these pictures and say, do I think that Campbell's Soup, CPB, is a shooting star? And if so, is it a good one? What do you guys think? Shooting star, and is it a good one? You tell me. Shooting star, and is it a good one on Campbell's Soup, CPB? Got a full screen here for you. All right. Should probably get a pretty quick response on this one. What did they say? I like circuit time. Cool. Yes, thanks for hitting that like button. That helps. Since there's like a 30-second delay, I'm stalling for time over here. But, you look at this one, it looks pretty good. There's one asterisk here that makes me nervous. And number one is the trend. Look at that trend. Campbell's Soup, looks really good. Yes, but I like it above. All we'd have to do is put our line across the ball. You have 2 shooting stars back to back, by the way. You got 2 of them back to back. So it's on decreasing volume, which is not really a good thing. You'd like to see a climactic volume and panicking on that volume right there. So all in all, if I have the opportunity, I could set an alert on this one as well. Just go out here and say set alert. Add alert, price crossing, horizontal line, create. Let's do just once. All right, so tomorrow, if it drops down below that, alerts me. Pops up on my screen, looks like an opportunity, I'll take it. The negative pieces to this are, it's been on a big uptrend and volume isn't really increasing. So that's okay. Merlin, where was that script that you were changing the price on? So under StockFetcher, when you scroll to the top, it's under the filter. So let me go back here to show you what we had done. Let's do it the other way, right? So here's StockFetcher's homepage. You go here to quick examples. I'm just going to click on this and go to candlesticks. And we're not going to see any hammer formations, but let's just do hammer. And it's found these, right? It's found a few. So now we'll just click view full results. And let's say I want the closing to be above $15. And average volume is above 1 million. 1 million. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's 1 million. So now it's got to be above $15, hammer formation with 1 million shares average. Do I find anything? 2. Oh, no, it's got a few. All right, so, it's funny because it's calling these things a hammer. It's not a hammer. This QYLD. I'll look at QYLD for you. QYLD. That's not a hammer. It's really a spinning top. At the last candle today, you can see it's got just same tail above as below and small real body. That's a spinning top. That is not a hammer. Fury says, I love Head and Shoulders. It works most of the time for me. And that's the most important part. You find what works for you. I know that there's all kinds of different patterns out there. I like hammers, shooting stars from candlesticks perspectives, and I love ascending, descending triangles from a pattern perspective. Those are it for me. Are there many others? Sure. Might they work better for you and for different ones? Yeah. You just got to find what you like. Absolutely. So I went through a few of these books. So we did Come Into My Trading Room by Dr. Alexander Elder. We did the Candlestick book by Steve Nissen. We did Encyclopedia of Chart Patterns by Polkowski. So those are 3 big ones. We did the Trading in the Zone by Dr. Alexander Elder. Great book. I've mentioned this one many times, Stock Trader's Almanac. You just can't go wrong. Just cannot go wrong with this book. It's just such great statistics. If you're not a numbers person, it's probably a little bit boring. And then the last one, which is my favorite book, I actually have 2 copies of it because I like the book so much. I have a hard copy and a softback, is that one right there. Reminiscences of a Stock Operator by Edwin Lefebvre, who many people believe is Jesse Livermore. It's the story pretty much of Jesse Livermore. So I love this book because first off, it's written in the 1800s. So it's written in a bygone era that I don't obviously know much about. And it's the way in which he takes chances. It's the way in which he uses the tools and resources available to him from messaging services and just understanding price behavior. It's also an important lesson for all of you in risk management. I don't want to ruin this book, so I will stop short of ruining it, but you should read the book. If you haven't read it, read it, because they call him the greatest trader that ever lived, Jesse Livermore. And when you finish the book, I think you would agree, you can't call him the greatest trader that ever lived. It's just you just can't do it, because there's no way that a trader would start with a few bucks, make millions, and mind you, this is millions in the late 1800s, early 1900s, millions, and lose every single penny and do that multiple times. That's not a good trader. That's a gambler. That's a gambler who got lucky. So to me, it's a lesson in money management, risk management, psychology, but it's written in just a great story way. So those are my favorite books. There certainly are a bunch of others I'm probably missing. What other books do you have that you like out there? So it's not just about me. I'm sure some of you have some books you absolutely love about trading. Those are the ones that I feel shaped me. But if you have some you want to contribute, please feel free to type them in the chat there. But yeah, Reminiscence of a Stock Operator, just such a fantastic book. It's funny because in doing this, I kind of went down to my library, and I don't have that many. I've got a bunch of books that were given to me over the years, but I'll be honest, I don't really read a lot of them. I just find them boring. I do shapes in kindergarten too. Yes, Technician JD, but are those shapes that you drew in kindergarten making you a lot of money? That's the difference, or making you money, period. So those are my favorite trading books. I'm sure I'm missing some. How about audiobooks? No, I don't read audiobook or listen to audiobooks. No audiobooks, no video. It's funny, I don't even listen to other people's podcasts about trading and investing. I just don't want to be swayed. I don't want people to think I'm copying their show. For some reason, yeah, I don't listen to any other thing. The only thing that I listen to a lot, which is kind of become an addiction, is the Lex Fridman podcast. And the reason is it's opened my eyes to so many other industries. Like, for example, we'll talk about Neuralink here in a few minutes. I've been listening to the latest interview about Neuralink, which has Elon Musk and like 3 or 4 of the development team, and I'm in awe. I'm just fascinated by how they're doing it, what they're doing. But there's a lot of other pieces of great content, from physicists to engineers to AI, robotics, psychology, you name it. He interviews all kinds of people, and I like the style of interview. So that's probably the one I do the most. Tom Hogard, good book on psychology. Best loser wins. Huh. That's true. That's a true statement. The best loser wins. And that it goes right back into my sentiment that is, if you focus on your losses, the wins will take care of themselves and you'll be fine over time. But too often, people focus on just the winners and then losses get away from them and they blow their account and you're gone. Yeah, no problem, Lisa. They're long interviews. I normally don't like listening to things at faster speeds, but I've noticed I listened to him and Elon Musk the other day at 1.5 speed. It's tough because I like when things go a little bit slower so I can focus, but I was on at the gym and it definitely helped me get through it. But I like it when I'm driving. I really love Lex Friedman when I'm driving. My trips feel like that. I told you the Charles Hoskinson one was 5 hours. My drive up there usually takes about 6 hours, 6.5 hours to get to my house, or my former home in Northern California. And I listened to that from the moment I left my driveway and I arrived just as it was finishing. It just felt fantastic. It was so good. Best loser? All right, I'll check that one out. I'll check that one out for sure. All right, let's move from that to other questions. Again, there's a lot of books out there. I just don't... I chop up long podcasts. Yeah. I just don't like to, I don't know. I feel reading is a little bit slow. I'm actually just about to, maybe we can do a collaborative show where you guys tell me about great books that you like, because I'm just about to start listening to more audiobooks. I find it easier for me to do multiple things, particularly if I'm at the gym or out on a run or just something to absorb more information and learn new things along the way. So I might do, what's the, I forget the name of it. It's Amazon's audiobook site. Audible. Just about to go to Audible. Can you bring back Dr. Woody Johnson? Sure. Write it down. I've been meaning to get in touch with him. He's up in LA, so he's close. Should be good. What was the name of the podcast? PBJ, you're asking me? It's just the Lex Friedman podcast. So if you just type in Lex Friedman on YouTube, you'll bring him up. I have a goal. And that is to actually be a guest on Lex Friedman's podcast. Now, I'm not anywhere. Look at the people he's interviewing. These are some very interesting people. You have Donald Trump the other day. I really like this Peter Levels one. It's very interesting about coding, programming. He's got this one. Here's the Neuralink one I'm listening to right now. Just really interesting, but very long. But, the list of podcasts that he's done, it's huge. And these are, in many cases, A-listers. These are big-time people in their field. Here, Gregory Aldrete, the Roman Empire, the rise and fall. I don't know much about the Roman Empire, but it'd be nice to learn more about it from, industry experts. A lot of these are professors and things like that. So, yeah, Lex Friedman. But I want to get on his show, and this is going to have to happen after I finish this book, which is about the catastrophic levels of financial illiteracy in the United States, and in the way that we're drawn and pulled into spending money on stuff we just don't need. We keep buying and buying and buying when you really should save your money for the right purchases and build your wealth over time and set yourself up for the future. I think the U.S. is in a bad place that way, and we need more financial education on the ground level, not trading per se, but just how to balance a checkbook, how to spend money, savings, compounding interest, things like that. It would be great to get them on there one time. Okay, let's see. Thou shalt prosper, atomic habits, good energy and inners. Okay. All right, well, I'll take a screenshot and put those down into a little folder over here, so when I get to my Audible and set that up, I'll listen to some of those. All right, let's move on to the second part of this. Wow, that was 30 minutes already. That was my favorite trading books. The next question I've had is about Ripple, this Ripple Trust. So anytime you have a product that's listed on U.S. markets that is in a crypto space, that obviously is good for adoption, right? We want to see more adoption of cryptocurrency and digital assets. So the announcement was that Grayscale now has a Ripple ETF. It's a trust, which sounds great, sounds fantastic. However, it's not what you think. So yes, there is a Ripple Trust. You can get out there and buy Ripple on the U.S. exchanges almost. Here's the catch. So if you go to Grayscale's website, and I will give you the link here for those of you who are interested in this and want to know more. This is Grayscale's website, and the reason I put it up here is, let me zoom in just a hair so you can see bigger. There's already an Avalanche Trust, but see it says private placement only. These ones that say private placement, you have to have big time money. You have to be an accredited investor. And I forget what the threshold for an accredited investor is, but you have to have big time money to get into that. And if we scroll to the bottom here, you see Ripple Trust is for private placement. So as exciting as it is, you can't buy into it. Now, these other ones that have ticker symbols, like the Grayscale Zcash Trust, you can. You can type in ZCSH and you could now buy into that trust without being an accredited investor. The private placement ones that they have right now are SWI, Ripple, Stacks. Stacks is an interesting project. Grayscale Smart Contract Platform, X Ethereum. So take out Ethereum and all the other smart contract platforms. You have, no, accredited investors, millions, Thomasina. I think the accredited investors, either 2 or 5 million. But MakerDAO, a lot of these are not available to you and I. Right? All these ones right here are Litecoin, LivePeer, Horizon, Filecoin, Ethereum Classic. I mean, some of these are, Ethereum Classic, come on. Ethereum Classic's, I don't know. I just don't see it doing anything. But anyway, Mana, Chainlink, BitSensor, Decentraland, these are for private placement only. And what they'll do is they'll keep it private placement for a while, and then they'll bring it public. But you can already, through Grayscale, have access to a lot of these, right? Like Decentraland, Mana. Let's go look at MANA. There's Decentraland's trust. You can tell right away it's not very liquid. It's extremely illiquid. These little dash marks and skips like this, that's a sign of illiquidity. So, not good. Last I checked, accredited investor is 1 million and qualified purchasers 5 million. Okay. Now, 1 million is not too bad. I could have sworn it was 2 and 5, but maybe it's 1 and 5. Maybe it's 1 and 5. So, the question that came through, I think, was from you, Oliver, if he's here today. It's good. It's good. The more trust we have, the more products that are listed on U.S. exchanges that deal with crypto, the better it is for adoption, and the harder it's going to be for regulators to come after it and back all these things off the exchange. There's just too much money in there. And while it's great, it does not mean that you can buy it right now. What does it mean for Ripple? For Ripple, it's probably a pretty good thing. The reason that this trust didn't exist for the longest time is because the SEC lawsuits. But now that those are kind of softening up and maybe going away very soon, then Grayscale now feels more comfortable offering this product. It should have been there a long time ago because it was one of the big, original ones from back in 2018. So I think it's great. It'll bring more money into Ripple. And again, if this is a trust, there's a certain amount. Right now, there's supposed to be 20 Ripple per share of this one, but you can't look it up. There's no ticker symbol for this one yet. It hasn't been listed because it's not a public security. It's a private placement piece. So you can't buy it unless you're accredited. I would say just buy Ripple yourself, buy XRP somewhere on an exchange and just keep it that way much better. The other thing here is when you look at these, it's the amount of fees that really get you. So XRP has a 2.5% fee. So click here on XRP. Hopefully that'll bring up a page. I'll scroll down just a quick hair for you. See right here? 2.5%. That's a pretty substantial fee. I personally think that's way out of line, 2.5%. But they're preying on the fact that most people don't have crypto and want it. So let's look at some of the other ones that are already listed. Let's go to the Solana Trust. Okay. So Solana, it has a ticker symbol, GSOL. You can go buy this one today, and we'll look at it here in just a second. 2.5%. So they're getting you on fees, man, big time. Let's go to Sol, GSOL. A lot more liquidity. You got a couple thousand shares traded a day, but still fairly thinly traded. But at least you have the opportunity to buy in. So before you jump in, look at the fees associated with them and understand that most of these have very thin liquidity. The good news is, because Grayscale is doing a trust, now it's private placement first. After a couple of months, they'll probably go to public and now it's traded. And then what it does is it pushes that discussion of what's the next crypto spot ETF. Spot ETF. So you got Bitcoin, you got Ethereum. What's next? Solana, Ripple. Those are two big candidates. Those would be my guesses for the next two that get to go mainstream with a spot ETF. And that's what would really be driving price. Now, if that did happen, let's say Solana came out with a spot ETF. This one would probably get hurt pretty badly, because right now people are paying a premium to buy it because there is no other way to buy Solana on the exchanges. If we get other ETFs out there, they'll move away from this and go to something that's got lower fees, right? These are very high. 2.5% is a very high fee. Okay. Let's see. What did I miss in the conversation here? Merlin, I believe 4 years ago after the election, I think you said the S&P goes up 17% from election day until April 30th. Do you remember that by any chance? After election day, I don't remember that. I can look up the stats, Steve. When we get nearer to election, we'll definitely be looking at statistics and how markets perform, but I can't remember off the top of my head. The one that was very interesting was during an election year, the S&P moves by 7% to the upside, which is funny because it normally moves 8%. So it actually underperforms during a presidential election year, which I thought was unique. Eric says, I watched on YouTube a show about Elon Musk buying Ford. Unfortunately, I haven't been unable to verify this. I don't think he's buying Ford. I didn't see that. What is GSOL based it on? Sol is going for about 134. Yeah, and this is why I am not a fan of these trusts. So you could go in here into this grayscale, and it should tell you in here. So market price per share, 359. Sol per share, you should be getting 0.3727 Sol per share, which would make Sol, let me see here. Yeah, that would be about, so what Solana's right now trading at 132. So you go 132 times, oops, I'll bring this over here so you guys can see it. What do we say? 0.037 times, oh my gosh, times 0.037. No, I'm messing up here all over the place. So essentially you should get 0.37 Sol per share. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I don't know, Big Ab. That's why I don't like the spot Bitcoin ETFs. Not spot. All the ETFs don't make sense. I mean, if you look at IBIT, $34. This is supposed to represent Bitcoin. Well, what am I actually getting here? Bitcoin's nowhere near $34. We're at 61,000. 60. Well, it's been falling. So yeah, I'm not sure, Big Ab. I'm not sure what that was. They said with the Ripple, it's like 19.99 Ripple per share of their trust, but you know, I don't know. It's bizarre. Another book for price action breakdown. I've never heard of that one. Price action breakdown. All right, price action breakdown by Laurentiu Demian. Yep, Big Ed. That's why I said it over and over again. It's like, if you really want to buy crypto, buy crypto. If you know you want to buy it in, let's say, an IRA or an ETF or in another market, then fine, you can go and buy those ETFs. But I don't know what I'm getting. I just don't know what I'm getting. And let's look at IBIT here. Let's see, from the peak here to where Bitcoin is today, IBIT to where it's at right now, IBIT is down 18.79%. Bitcoin from the exact same period of time is down 18.15. So they're pretty close, right? 18.15 versus 18.79. So you're going to take a bigger loser on IBIT no matter what, because you're paying the fees there, which I believe are 0.29%. So yeah, it's wacky. I wouldn't buy the ETFs whether they're spot or not. But if I was forced to, I gotta put money out there and I have to buy crypto, of course I would buy the spot Bitcoin ETFs or spot Ethereum ETFs, most likely the iShares version, the IBITs. Other than that, I would just buy it outright. Better way to go. All right, let's do a quick poll here. Let me see. Let me type in a question. I'm going to Google the Fed, and we're going to say keep it no change. We'll go here 0.25, and then I'll add the third one in here, 0.50. And curious what you guys think on this one, just because the rate announcement is tomorrow. I'll show you. So here's your poll. I put, will the Fed keep it at no change, cut by 25 basis points, or cut by 50 basis points? So let me know what you guys think. Obviously, tomorrow is the big day. Jerome Powell's just laughing here as he's counting down the minutes. So what's interesting to me is it feels like the markets have priced in a number. And I will show you that number here in just a second. Let me bring this up so you guys can see it. The markets are very ambitious at this moment in time. They are pricing in a 60, it was 67 earlier, now it's 63, so it's dropped a little bit. 63% chance of a 25 basis points cut tomorrow, or 50 basis point cut tomorrow. And only a 37% chance of 25. I'm staying at 25, so if I put in the poll, that's me. No senator's choice of 70. Yeah, right? I'll tell you what, Kenny, if we did 75 basis points, that would be a scream of panic. I think the markets would tank. Like, what are we missing? Yeah, listen, market's looking for 50 basis points. That's the odds-on favorite, but who knows, right? Well, I have no clue where it's going to go. I just know that it's going to be wild. It's going to be volatile, and I'm excited for it. I have a class tomorrow that's going to happen right in the middle of that. I'm doing an XLT general session tomorrow. I think that's what I'm scheduled to do, which is going to happen right in the middle of that, which is unfortunate, but we got to do what we got to do. So let me see real quick. What time am I? Yeah, I'm doing an XLT general session from 10:30 to noon tomorrow, so it's going to be right in the middle of that. Oh, should cancel just because of that. Ask Bill ahead of the announcement. All right, I'll message him today and see what he thinks. I'll message him today because he's going to be on tomorrow after the show, and then tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning Pacific time, I will be on the Ninja Trader Show with Jim Cagnina. That'll be fun. That'll be a fun one. Hope it's no change, but I think 50 basis points. You hope it's no change? Yeah, I mean, I think that'd be great, but I think you're going to get 25 basis points. All right, let me see. How might the markets react if we only get 25 basis point cut? You know, Les, that's all just a matter of personal opinion. I mean, I really don't know. To me, you could argue both sides evenly. So let's say the markets right now, as you saw, are expecting 50 basis points. If we only come out at 25, then that should be a reflection the Fed feels good about the economy and the market should start to move up. However, the market may freak out because we're supposed to get 50. And we've already priced it up based off that 50 basis point cut. If we get 25, markets should sell off because of that, right? I don't know which way it's going to go. And we can make that argument either way. Wear a dress shirt tomorrow? Is that what you want? Wearing a dress shirt? Do your XLT? I can't. They scheduled it for Wednesday. Plus, remember, I'm gone. I'm going to be in Vegas Thursday and Friday. Vegas Thursday and Friday. Fed is late already, Robert? I would argue that they're probably late. I probably would have dropped 25 basis points already a couple meetings back just to test out and see. The economic data, in my opinion, has been looking pretty good. The only area that's of concern is unemployment. If you look at the data that came out today, I mean, things look great. Retail sales were better. Capacity utilization was better today. I mean, a lot of numbers were looking much better. So I think that puts less pressure on the Fed to cut 50 basis points. I'd take some bets here that they're going to go 25, but, you know, I'd be going against the grain, that's for sure. Will a bigger cut mean the dollar drops or rises? If the rate cut should drop the value of the dollar. Right? Because now anyone who holds dollars as an arbitrage interest play, like a carry trade, you now are losing that. So the dollar would drop in value. The more they cut, the more the dollar drops. The more they raise, the more the dollar rallies. Because more people are going to be buying U.S. dollars because now you earn more money by holding U.S. dollars. You can discuss the Fed moments in the XL. That's true. Yes, I'm definitely going to bring it up. We'll probably talk about that there. Oh, good, we can heckle you during the announcement. Thanks, Steve. Great. Hecklers. If 2/3 are expecting 50 basis points, they only get 25, they will be in a buying mood. I think the markets will sell off because they've already priced in 50 basis point cuts. I mean, we've had some pretty nice moves here. And for me, I look at the markets of the chart, or the chart of the market right now, and we look where the S&P's at. We've got this giant shooting star right into all-time highs, and the announcements tomorrow, boy, I mean, it feels like it's setting up for a sell-off. And if they decide to only raise or cut 25 basis points, I think you could see a decent-sized sell-off. So, but the people that make this up, this is far greater money than I have that's pushing these Fed funds futures. There's a lot of money on the line here. So somebody must know something if the odds are really at 63% that we're going to get a 50 basis point cut. Margaret, jobs data has more meaning now. Absolutely. Inflation seems to be, dare I say it, under control. Under control. Yeah, so Steve, okay, just wondering for that yen carry trade. Exactly. That's exactly why we're seeing that dollar drift like this, is people unwinding because Japan's raising rates were lowering. That carry trade just went inverted real quick on anyone who's got that carry trade. If you look here, we had a little bit of a bounce today in that dollar index. Let's get the, right? So dollar popped a little bit today, but still, this is crushing anybody who's got that carry trade. You're now, you have to sell your dollars to buy yen, and you're buying it after a big decline. This could continue to push this down if we cut rates again. And lastly, let's talk about this for a second. And then I'm going to wrap up here. I got just a long day. I'm not sure how much you guys have followed Neuralink, and I'm sure there's definitely some people that are like, you shouldn't mess with the human body. You shouldn't mess with this type of thing, getting into the brain and rewiring and doing all that kind of stuff. You just stay away from that. Well, I agree. There was an interesting approval by the FDA today, which was kind of shocking, and that's allowing for live tests on human patients. Now, I'm sure some of you know someone who's blind, flat out blind as a bat can. Not hard to see in thick glasses, but blind, darkness, right? Neuralink, they have this thing called blind sight. And it's part of when I was listening to the interview, blind sight was just absolutely fascinating to me. I'm shook at this one. This blind sight can take someone who doesn't even have eyeballs, right? Doesn't even have eyeballs, and allow them to see again. This is something out of Star Trek. I think, was it Data? The guy who had the little mask there, he was blind, but he could, I think it was Data was his name. Yeah, it was a RoboCop type thing too, Ricardo. I think that this is absolutely fantastic. If you can take people who have, it's scary because you're messing with the human brain and, this is the greatest machine ever built. But now all of a sudden you have testing being allowed where they'll implant the Neuralink, they wire it in there, and somehow allow these people to see again. And Elon Musk, in one of the interviews, he said, look, in 5 years, we could be at the point where the people who have this blind sight technology can just be walking down the streets and say, infrared, boom, and instantly switch to infrared. Zoom in on my right eyeball so I can see that mountain over there. Just zoom in. All of a sudden, you get all this very interesting possibilities of anything with regards to vision due to this blind sight. And obviously, that's kind of creepy. That's the futuristic, Terminator type stuff. But the thought that there could be all these hundreds of thousands of blind people, if not millions of blind people around the world that now can see, man, that's a gift that they should receive. That would be pretty amazing. We talk about Superman. He's got the X-ray vision. I don't know, man. This could change everything with this blind sight technology. I don't know what the limitations are, and could you get caught for spying on people with your blind sight technology? But anyway, I thought that was an interesting one. Obviously not publicly traded, but at some point this will probably go public. I've watched the results of the first Neuralink transplant, which I forget what his name is, Brandon or Jeremy. It's fantastic. Jordy, thank you, PBJ. That's what his name was, Jordy. I think it's great, particularly with people who have disabilities. I'm right there with you, Ricardo. The guy who they put the first Neuralink in, he has a severe spinal injury, paralyzed from the neck down. And now he's using his brain and his eyes to move things around, to talk, to communicate, to please, playing games. But hey, at least he can do something, To me, that's fantastic. And if he can set up the eye reader to now power his wheelchair, the guy can drive himself around and do all these things independent. You're starting to get better and better and better at fixing traumatic injuries, and particularly vision or hearing. All the rock concerts, I'm sure I'm going to be deaf as can be here in a few years. Hey, I wouldn't mind having a little Can you fix me up? No hearing aids. I want it to be much, much more inconspicuous. I wonder how much Moolah, oh, yeah. They're going to charge a lot. It's going to be extremely expensive, I'm sure. And will it be covered by insurance? Link for the video. Margaret, just go to, it was right here on Lex Friedman. So the link to the video, it's this one right here. This is a long one. This is 8 hours of that Lex Friedman talking, but he talks to all the developers, and it's kind of long, but very interesting in my opinion, at least in helping us understand what's the point, what's the purpose of this all. But yeah, this is the Lex Friedman one, and it's pretty interesting. Hell no. We need a Neuralink for who can see. Maybe we get that, but I don't know. I'm in the camp of if you've been blind and you want to try Neuralink to help improve your vision or get eyesight again, I am all for it. I know that if I was blind, knock on wood, or deaf, or had some issue, hook me up. I would like to see again. Sometimes I take for granted I've got both my arms, both my legs. I got my health. Things are pretty good. You see someone who's got a missing leg or no vision or can't hear, and you're like, man, I'm really fortunate. On a much lower scale, Apple Watch now has FDA approval for sleep apnea. I saw that too. Yep. And again, that's just technology innovating. And if you look at what Neuralink's doing, I think this is going to continue on, and we're going to see more and more and more, right? More and more advancements in medical sciences where we can maybe actually heal people as opposed to keep them on medications forever. I don't know. All right, that's it for me for today. On that note, let's go back to our economic calendar. I had it up here a while ago, but let me see. Where did it go? All right, let's go to Forex Factory. So I could show you the numbers for today, but I want to just kind of wrap things up here because it's going to be an hour show, and I got to get out of here. I got things I got to do today other than just teaching all day. So there's your Tuesday, and I wanted to show you the retail sales. We went from 1.1, expected at negative 0.2. It was positive, so we did not drift below that zero line. That's good. That's really good. All right, keep retail sales increasing. Love it. That's good to see. For tomorrow, you look at that calendar, and of course, it's all about the Fed funds rate. You can see here that according to Forex Factory, they're saying 25 basis points. That's what I'm saying. Oh, I didn't end the poll. Let's end the poll. And 8% of you said keep it at no change, or 7% said no change. I would think that'd be a stretch. I think that the pressure's just too on right now, and plus the other central banks causing pressure too because they're cutting, except for Japan. So 25 basis point cut, 63% of you said 25 basis points, and 28% said 50. We will see tomorrow. You also have TIC long-term purchases, but remember the most important part for tomorrow is not going to be the rate cut itself. It's that rate announcement or the meeting at 11:30 afterwards. So keep your eye on that one. And then the last part here will be the earnings calendar for mañana. Not a lot of big stuff happening on the earnings calendar. It's a fairly light week, but you do have, there's really nothing big tomorrow. That's it. So that'll do it for me. Tomorrow we're going to have Bill Addis on the show talking about interest rates, the Fed, Jerome Powell policy changes. That'll be our topic du jour. If you're up early, 8 a.m. California time, I will be doing a podcast for the Ninja Trader program. You can go to ninjatrader.com and find out the info on their podcast, but hopefully I'll see you guys there. If not, I will see you here. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic remainder of your day, and don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, or just put any comments down below the YouTube channel, or email me, tradermerlin@gmail.com. See you tomorrow.